Hey everybody, welcome back to the adventures of Anton Rayne. In between episodes, I was just kind of looking at all the shit show stuff that's going on in this country, and there's a lot. One of the things I noticed was limited women's rights. Women in Sordland face extreme sexism, both in the workplace and at home. In addition, the law prohibits girls from learning natural and social sciences, among other subjects. Women are often paid less than their male counterparts. Furthermore, they have little to no legal protection in the cases of domestic abuse. You know, that's something we ought to probably try and fix somehow. What do we got? Some more reports. I'm so sick of reading reports. USP, our party, has a report on reforms. Many members of the USP, led by Albin Clavin and the reformist wing of the party, clarified their demands from the government in the party congress. For the upcoming constitutional reform, Albin Clavin stated that without the ministry reforms, they won't be able to stand behind the new reform package. Alright, so we know where they stand. And our good old friend, Franz Richter, leader of the hippie party, the People, Freedom and Justice Party, has outlined their demands for the reform package. He declared that without the implementation of term limits and limited decrees, it would be very difficult for him and his party to stand behind the reform package. Oddly enough, I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think that's the same page I'm on. I think our bigger problem is convincing the judges, if we get this through the Grand Assembly, to sign off on it. Briefing on the current welfare situation. Last episode we went to Narble and the roads were dog shitty. If I remember correctly, Serge drove us there, so I believe that's why we're here right now. I arrived at the meeting for my talk with Sierra and Pascal. Before beginning, I took a moment to appreciate the view from the balcony. The mountains of Narble were completely covered with snow. While I was mesmerized by the scenery, Pascal Bennywall walked up to me. Who is this loser? He's the Minister of Health, Social Affairs, and Labor. He's been a member of the party since 1942, and he's an author. He wrote 8 books. The bestseller, The Unfortunate Man, which tells the story of a family of poverty-stricken miners. He became known as a writer who depicts the struggles of Swedish life from a realistic frame, which brought him praise from the middle class and the civil rights group. Why are there so many authors that have ended up in politics? My Minister of Health was, ironically, somewhat portly, having gained a few pounds since his breakthrough as a best-selling writer. Don't break through the floor, fatty! But his authority on social affairs could not be questioned.
Such a spectacular view!
Sierra Walda, the Minister of Education, joined us on the balcony. Dressed in a sky-blue pantsuit, her preference for trousers over dresses had made her the subject of much palace gossip, but it didn't seem to bother her in the slightest. Spectacular indeed, but if you look at the opposite direction, you will see what Sol's decades of neglect did to the city. Most workers living in Narble are workers, farmers, and their wives or children. They're breaking their backs for close to no pay, all thanks to greedy corporations. I'm just gonna say my intention is to help the working class. Can we get on with things? I'm glad we see eye to eye on the issue. If you look past the view, you can see the real problems. The mountains? Real problems like poverty. Pascal nodded gravely. This was a subject he knew quite a bit about. His best-known books were about the plight of Sordland's less fortunate, drawing from his own past growing up in squalor.
Well put, Ms. Walder. I don't need to tell you about my own experiences with poverty. And you've been through similar hardships yourself, Mr. President.
That's true. The background we set ourselves up with, we grew up poor. Yes, it feels like the cards are stacked against you at times.
Exactly. It feels as if there is no way out.
You don't have to be born poor to sympathize with the plight of the impoverished. Much as you don't have to have been born a woman to recognize Sordland's need for parity among the sexes.
Parity among the sexes shouldn't be our first priority. Look at how many high-ranking female politicians our country has.
Appearances can be deceiving, Pascal. Does that mean you're sporting a dick there, woman? Her voice sounded bitter. Think about Lilius Graf and how she got to her current position. I don't necessarily believe the rumors about her and Sol, but she never could have risen so high if she didn't parrot his cause. What? That Lilius Graf? You saying she did it with Sol? Ew! I hope your rumor is wrong. Gloria Tori? Is it an accident that the first female assembly speaker is such a staunch conservative? I think you're just jealous. And then there was Alfonso's habit of promoting women to prominent position to give Sordland a progressive sheen while accomplishing nothing in reality. Well, go take it up with him! Jeez, I came out to the middle of Shitsylvania so we could try and talk about poverty and crap, and I gotta listen to this jealous bitch whine. Well, women in places like Narble are denied any opportunity to advance. The government can use a handful of female politicians from wealthy families, myself included, to pretend their only obstacle to success is their own lack of initiative. Then why don't you fire yourself, bitch? Meanwhile, those of us who don't use our clout to help powerful men stay in power are denigrated as angry spinsters. I ask you, Mr. President, does anyone care that your strategist, Mr. Gallet, doesn't have a wife? Why would I give a fuck about that? Are you saying because he's gay? I don't care if Lucian sucks cock. I don't care what. You know, I will say, I don't know, I want to slap her. Is that wrong? It is. Don't you talk bad about my friend Lucian. I'm gonna say, though, I agree with you. Sordland's women deserve better. Now shut the fuck up and get in the kitchen. I'm glad to hear that. As I was saying, isn't it about time Holster addressed this country's real issues? Rather than bowing to the wishes of the hawks and the fearmongers in the establishment, and diverting yet more resources to the military and law enforcement? We have military concerns. We do need to spend money on the military. If for no other reason to help the economy, but especially to protect our borders. Our welfare and healthcare and education system have been decaying since the recession. Sordland's poorer communities are losing hope. Hopelessness and a lack of opportunities can drive people to extreme situations and solutions. We're seeing increased crime, domestic violence, and yes, rising inequality between men and women. I don't like this lady at all. She is so annoying. She doesn't let the other dude talk at all. She's one of those people who will be like, nobody ever lets me talk, and then she talks the whole fucking time. Yes, there are people who are not heard in our society. Yes, there is a sexism problem. But you annoy the fuck out of me. If we could only stop the recession, create jobs and growth.
The economic situation does play a huge role in living standards. Our urban and rural disparities are stark, and the recession hit the weakest harder. It always does.
We can't fix the economy by ourselves. We have to educate the people and let them create new opportunities too. Finally you're talking my language, woman.
There's another subject I want to mention. I have been working on improving the rights of workers in our country, and have proposed a draft bill that is currently being reviewed by our party. Mr. Craven has already backed me and given his support. Sordland has fallen behind most countries on this subject, and it is my responsibility to ensure this is not the case.
I assume this is what we just read a moment ago, where Claven said we had to support some of his stuff to get him to support the constitutional changes. It depends on what the worker rights bill entails. I'm all for workers' rights. There is always room for improvement, Pascal, and it is good to hear you are pushing for it.
I appreciate the kind words, Mr. President. I will not let you down.
It is also a matter of life and death. Every decade, we hear of some horrific accident due to employers' disregard for their workers' safety. Pascal, you know, if you threw her out the window right now, that's an accident I wouldn't have a problem with.
So, would you back the bill when it arrives on your desk, Mr. President?
I'm not going to say yes. I'm not going to say no. I'm going to be pragmatic. To make a decision, Pascal, I would need to evaluate the contents in detail. I need to read it and understand it. I can't give you a blanket yes.
Understandable, Mr. President. You will receive all the sections in an outline. It's getting a little cold out here. Let's head inside and continue our discussions.
No! Serge! Get me out of here! I paid for your kid's education! I don't have to talk to that annoying lady anymore. We headed back inside. Oh, the meeting room was already prepared for state business. Small gifts for each of us had been placed on the table by the municipality. We took our seats. Oh, I'm gonna have to listen to more dipshits. They're like, did you mean to say that out loud? Yes! Oh, I don't want to ask Sierra. Tell me, start with your health overview, Pascal.
As you wish, Mr. President. Sordland has a free healthcare system, except for a few private hospitals operating under it. Most of the populace receives adequate treatment. Health issues primarily appear in rural areas due to a lack of quality services.
That is not what the newspaper has told me, Pascal. I think the newspaper has said it sucks.
I am doing my best to ensure that citizens of all ages receive the best healthcare they can. I also personally want to solve the high infant and maternal mortality problem.
What's the life expectancy and mortality rates?
Our life expectancy is 65 years, and the infant mortality rate is a worrying 85 per 1,000 births, while the maternal mortality is at 90 per 1,000.
That sentence is written like crap.
Be assured that we are doing everything we can to save mothers and their newborn.
Those numbers are saddening indeed. I expect nothing but your best efforts to improve the situation right now. Right now there, Pascal. Get out there and save them babies.
We are working very hard in improving the quality of the services.
I don't really see the purpose of asking the rest of these things. How many doctors and nurses are employed?
We have around 30,000 doctors and around 73,000 nurses working for the Ministry of Health. That is a high number. What I think is...
I don't want to be rude, but out of those numbers, how many are in urban and how many are in rural areas? Okay, good point, Sierra. Pascal, answer the question.
The data shows that per 10,000 people in urban areas, there are about 11 doctors, while in rural areas, there are only 3.
That's why we're getting the news reports about bad medical care in rural areas. Treatment time is still too high due to the low number of doctors in rural areas, which barely get any proper coverage. How many hospital beds are there per 10,000 citizens?
There are 10 beds per 10,000 citizens, which is a very good number according to our comparisons with our other neighbors. We see a lower number in the countries of Agnolia and Wayland, but obviously can't match Lesbia or Volksland.
So we can't match the country that is aligned with Western Arcadia or communist Volksland? Come on, bro. Agnolia and Wayland are hardly countries to take as a standard, but it is good to know we aren't in a huge health crisis yet. Thank you, Pascal. Your in-depth briefing is much appreciated. And Sierra, I appreciated your interjection. Now I don't want to hear what you have to say, but I guess I will. With pleasure. I can't wait to tell you. No one ever lets me talk. I'm always oppressed. Girl, you've talked more than anybody. Swordfish education is free, but we have a very outdated system, and I want to reform. The other important issue is the lack of access to education in rural areas, especially for young girls. Your administration has the power to solve both problems. I agree, do it. My highest priority is to get enough funding to be able to build schools in rural areas. Money? Oh, that's another thing. We only have 6 monies. Ooh, that's a problem. Can we, farm it out to Coca-Cola? Elementary education, brought to you by Coca-Cola. There's only one food group anymore, Coca-Cola. Hey, as long as they teach them math and science, that's okay. I will deal with the diabetic epidemic that'll happen. Hell, that'll be after we're president, not our problem. My highest priority is to get enough funding to be able to build schools in rural areas while I cleanse our education system of its nationalistic indoctrination and sexist teachings. That is worrisome too. I don't want those teachings, but are you going to replace them with some other indoctrination? What is the literacy rate of Sordland? The literacy rate of Sordland is at 80%. That is great! That's great! We don't need to change anything. What are you complaining about? They can read books about equality on their own time. That's high. This is a very good indicator for future growth. But it needs to increase. It's far lower among girls than boys. Well, get girls some books they want to read. Like, vampire books or Nancy Drew. Create a new one. Vampire Drew.
If I remember correctly, the most illiterate areas are Bergia and England.
Wait, are we from Bergia? If I could read, I would know! That is correct. Although Lockhaven skews the statistics for the Nargis region, which also has a vast number of illiterate citizens, bunch of big dummies up there, this underlines my point about the lack of access to education. How many students and teachers do we have? Currently, we have about 5 million students, 3 million in primary education, 1 million in secondary, and 1 million in tertiary. And there are about 155,000 teachers.
Sordland is full of young and bright minds.
Yeah, it's indeed full of potential there, dude. I think there needs to be a change in the way of thought. We should help children to question and educate themselves. If your proposal there is, we don't have to spend money on schools? Maybe. Tell me the difference between the urban and rural educations. Urban areas have 3 times the number of schools per 10,000 people compared to rural areas. Rural areas also suffer from a lack of teachers. I can imagine teachers not preferring desolate areas. Salaries for teachers are very low here. We need to increase their pay to give them more incentive. Thank you, Sierra. I can fill in the blanks from here. I've heard enough of your woman talk. You can't talk to me like that. I think I just did. I believe that is everything. Sierra stood up and moved towards the window. She took a deep breath. Oh no, she's gonna talk some more! I'm sorry! I appreciate everything you said! I will value it, I listened really hard! I'm sorry! What is it, Sierra? Look at this impoverished city! The streets full of potholes, the hospital barely functioning, the school half open. This is not just about Seoul, or even Alfonso failing. This decay in Sordland's forgotten regions has been going on for many decades, due to structural corruption, which is fueled by capitalism. Oh no! Are you gonna try and push communism on me? I would love to tell him Tarkin Soldan more than either of them, but I'm not, I don't know. Pascal, what do you think?
Sir, there is not much to be said. I agree with Sierra, but it is also Gus Manger's job to improve these areas.
Interesting. So Manger, who owns, if I remember, a lot of shares in Gassam, and Gassam is a big regional player here, his job is supposed to be making this area better, and Gassam's getting richer, but it's not the employees, the people aren't getting that. It's the responsibility of each and every one of us. No, shut up, Sierra. Pascal may have a point that Manger may have conflicted interests because of the shares he owns in Gassam. Sierra sat back down and sighed. Oh God, I thought she was leaving. One way or another, we need to transform. Greed and unchecked capitalism will not magically provide for the people. All right, Sierra, tell me what your plans are. My plans require an increase in the government budget. Of course, everybody wants the money. Everyone, do you think money comes out of my butthole? Do you think I'm just a money tree? We got only 6 monies. Everybody think I want the money. I aim to solve the problems we highlighted with the allocated money. Really? Because from what I've seen historically, throwing more money at schools have very limited returns if there's no competition. By building schools in these less fortunate rural areas and through fundamental changes to the education system, I will unlock the potential of all our children, boys and girls alike. It sounds like you were well-meaning, but what are your qualifications to do this shit? Interesting. I thought we had a quality of service problem, though. Isn't Swordfish education lacking in quality? Isn't that why we're, like, near the bottom for education? Our statistics show the disparity between urban and rural education. We can either do something about it or wait until things get worse. So you're not saying that you're gonna make it better?
Wouldn't a promotion of private education help create additional funds?
Alright, Pascal. Now you're talking, sir. She's gonna be like, it's not even. Yeah, life's not fucking even. If our country was in a better situation, maybe I'd care. Yes, but at what cost? I'm not a supporter of the private sector in education, because at the end of the day, they're focused on profit first, No, hear me out, Sierra. If we allow private schools, right, rich people will send their kids there, and that's less money we have to spend educating their dumb shit kids. And we can still charge them property taxes that we can spend on the other schools if we want. Or sales tax, or whatever we're spending on education. What are you working towards, Pascal?
I personally want to improve the low quality of healthcare in the rural areas. So I created draft plans to increase the salary of doctors and to upgrade the equipment of the hospitals. I can do more with an increased budget.
Everybody wants my money.
I can do more with an increased budget.
I am so sick of you. Everybody, I need solutions. The solutions aren't spending the limited resources we have in this pissant country.
Additionally, a privatization plan to promote private investments in the healthcare system could allocate extra funds.
As long as it doesn't destroy the public system, more choice the better. Isn't access to healthcare in rural areas an issue?
Access is an issue, but not as critical as the quality in these areas. The lack of experienced personnel or equipment causes bad treatment, resulting in many deaths. I do hope to create competition and increase the quality of healthcare with the privatization effort.
A private healthcare system would increase the price of treatment and make access worse for the average citizen. The decision not to promote more state control would cost the people dearly. My expectation from our government is that we understand and focus on the needs of the people. Normally I would be like, yes, we care about the people. I just want to get out of this meeting. I appreciate your briefings and plans so much. I'm going to go home and jerk off because I love them so much. We'll reconvene at the budget meeting. No, let's never talk again. Your plans better be good.
It was a pleasure, sir.
Thanks, Pascal. See you at the meeting. I hope to see a change in direction. I hope to see you die of natural causes. Stay here in the rural area where the hospitals are bad. Did we cover all the necessary subjects?
I wish to raise my concerns about your scheduled meeting with the GASM chairman and former president, Mr. Alfonso.
Alright, Pascal. Go ahead, complain about the things I gotta do.
There are significant considerations regarding the Narble workforce and the broader community of GASM blue-collar employees. This could be a strategic juncture to secure a triumph for the labor force.
Alright. You have my ear, Pascal. I'm listening to you. Well, I don't intend to overstep. Seriously, bitch? All you do is overstep. I can't refrain from commenting on the labor predicaments experienced by workers in GASM positions. Yeah, I bet you can't refrain from ever talking.
Nevertheless, it's worth acknowledging that the corporation contributes substantially to job creation in regions struggling with poverty. Persuading the chairman to make concessions might prove to be a formidable task.
I could say it's all about the workers. I kind of lean that way. You know, I think I'm going to. Because Garrison, we know, is being run like shit anyway. Our imperative is to directly address capital owners in order to champion the welfare of Swordish workers. Plus, if the employees of this nation, of Gassam, get paid more, that's more money that can go to the economy.
I delved extensively into this topic in one of my books.
I don't care about your books.
Confrontation, if not handled prudently, could potentially exasperate the challenges faced by workers. The matter regarding laborers is close to my heart. I would personally be grateful if you would be able to resolve the concerns raised by Katerina Horton and other laborers.
I'll try, man. It would be difficult to imagine someone like Alfonso, obsessed with his corporation, giving benefits to workers without him personally gaining from it. Well, I could just let his company go bankrupt. You know, I'm gonna go hardcore for the workers. Corporations have profited from the labor of workers for far too long. It's time for them to give back. The laborers deserve their fair share, and it's high time these corporations are held accountable. We shouldn't settle for anything less than a complete overhaul of the exploitative structures they've built.
Despite the potential divergence in interest, the door for dialogue among different sides should always remain open.
Yes, Pascal, you're being prudent here, I agree.
It's important that ideology doesn't obscure our capacity to bring about tangible, effective transformation.
I'm gonna say, I'm not encouraged by Manger and Alfonso being willing to talk. In fact, I'm worried that Manger, Manger, whatever his name is, one of our ministers, is a big owner in the company. I'm skeptical that these discussions with Gassam will lead to any meaningful change. We've seen empty promises before.
We shall keep you no longer. Thank you both for the discussions.
Oh, I do hope we won't repeat the same mistakes again and again. Have a good day, Mr. President. Yeah, it's gonna get better now. The ministers left. It got better. And I prepared to leave for other official business in the city. The agenda for the next few days was busy. It also included a meeting with Minister Gus Manger and former President Alfonso at the Gassam branch office. Dun dun dun. As I made my way out, the weather was noticeably cold, but it didn't keep a group of USP supporters, people who support our party, from coming out to cheer us on the streets. Oh, supporters! Hello! Hello, you! By looking at the citizens' attire, it was easy to understand the current state of Narble. Some people were wearing clothes a few sizes too large. Some kids did not even have shoes, yet there was hope in their eyes. They were excited to see their president in their city. I can't let those guys down. You know, Gassam's making all this money, pulling shit out of the ground here. These people deserve a part of it if they're working for it. Oh, there's news? We'll end with the news. Preserving national sovereignty. The EPA stands for now. Our Grand National Assembly has demonstrated resounding commitment to Sordland's economic independence. The proposed repeal of the Energy Protection Act of 1932, a cornerstone of our national autonomy, was effectively defeated. The stalwart defense of our sovereignty by Gloria Torre and Casario Kibner is commendable. Oh my word, I thought that was going to get passed and sent to us to sign or veto, making it so that Gassam could take on foreign investors. But the National Assembly defeated it. Oh, I thought that was going to be one of our ways out for Gassam's problems. Ooh. I was kind of hoping that would pass and that we would be able to negotiate something. Oh well. Next time we'll go to Gassam and see what they want. I'm going to try and get more money for the workers. I think it's going to be a failure. But at least I don't have to talk to Sierra anymore.